الكريم بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لقد كان لكم في رسول الله أسوة حسنة لمن كان يرجو الله واليوم الآخر وذكر الله كثيرا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, verily in the messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, you have a very good example for those who believe in Allah and who remember Him often. And alhamdulillah, we are on month 5 from Ulil Azam min al-Rusul, the 5 greatest prophets. And today, inshallah, is the icing on the cake because it's the session on the chosen one, Al-Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And please, every time you hear the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentioned by name or by pronoun, if you want to do i'tirul and put your hand on your chest, that's fine as well, but please say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Because the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said the most stingiest of person is the one who hears my name and doesn't send blessings upon me. So please make sure you say that. So we've done the 4 greatest so far. Anis, one of the 4?
Musa Islam.
Thank you very much. Young man? Isa alayhi salam. Hassan? Ibrahim. And one more, Yusuf? Watch this, Muhammed. What's the 4? Okay, fine, be beaten to it. Nuh alayhi salam. So the 4, we've done them, and inshallah we've learned, I hope we've learned quite a lot from their lives and incidents surrounding their struggle and their sacrifice, etc. I could talk forever. We could all talk for a lifetime about our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and never get tired or never exhaust what you could potentially say about him. But I'm going to try to focus on something which affects everyone. So let me give you an example. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was a father, right? But we never heard his daughter say, "Oh, my dad said to me." The Prophet ﷺ was a brilliant friend, an absolutely amazing friend. But none of his friends ever said, "My friend told me to." The Prophet ﷺ was a grandson. But no one ever reported, "My grandson said so and so." The Prophet ﷺ was a neighbor. But no one ever said, "My neighbor said we should do X, Y, and Z." No one, his friends, his grandparents, his uncles, his neighbors, his wives, none of them ever referred to him as a neighbor, a husband, a friend, ever. They always say, "Qala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam." Even his wife, who lived with him, the closest to him in that sense, she said, "Qala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam." The messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said. They never referred to him as Muhammed sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. They always referred to him with his message. He was Rasulullah. He was the messenger of Allah. So that's the first thing. He was never described as a nephew or husband, etc. He was Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He decided, we all know Allahu Akbar, Allah is the greatest, and He sent the Quran to the greatest angel, Jibreel alayhi salam, who then sent that Quran to the greatest messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who then sent that message to the greatest nation, us, the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So we are a line of greatness. So this is how the pattern is. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us in the Quran, and this is amazing, even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala respects the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It's crazy, right? Even Allah, the Lord of the world, respects the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Hujurat, "La tarfa'u," don't raise your voices, "aswatakum," "La tarfa'u aswatakum fawqa sawti nabi," don't raise your voices over the voice of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So when you are in his gathering, when his name is being mentioned, when his ahadith are being talked about, when his life is being studied, don't raise your voices to impede or slow down the message of his son. Yeah? Don't ever slow that down. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says in the Quran, it's very famous, recited every Jummah, "Inna Allaha wa malaikatuhu wa yusalluna ala nabi." That indeed Allah, no doubt about it, Indeed, Allah and His angels, they send blessings upon the Prophet. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. You also send praise and blessings upon the Prophet. So even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala respects the Prophet. And this is another thing. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls the other prophets by their names. Ya Isa, Ya Ibrahim, Ya Musa, Ya Nuh. Allah never says Ya Muhammad. He always addresses him, Ya ayyuhal nabi, Ya ayyuhal rasul, Ya ayyuhal muzammil, Ya ayyuhal muddathir. Allah never says, Oh Muhammad. It's like his station is above all the other Anbiya. Clearly, even Allah mentions it like that in the Quran. He never describes him in messenger. He always connects, when he talks to the Prophet, he connects his message to it, his mission. And that's what we're going to focus on today, because the mission of the Prophet, like if I talked about the Prophet as a father, a lot of the youngsters here were like, yeah, that's important for the fathers, but not for me necessarily. If I talk to him as a husband, a lot of people are not married, including, lots of people who want to get married. But his messengership, his risala, him as a rasul, as a messenger, that touches everyone. And that affects everybody. So that's what I'm going to focus on today, inshallah. So his nabuwa, his messengership, was the most important part of his life. Now, all of us know, and we've talked about this for quite a few months, the kuffar, they always try to twist things. They try to bully us, they try to change Islam. And if you have a look, the kind of discussions people have about Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam from the kafirin, they would say he was a great man, his love for humanity, he was a great moral character, he was a very astute leader, but they would always say him as an individual, just him as he's a really good guy. And a lot of Muslims, when they look at the Prophet ﷺ's life, they also look at it as a very individualistic thing. What can the Prophet ﷺ do for me? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never said that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. I have not sent Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam except rahmatan for who? لِلْعَالَمِينَ, for everyone. So who is it that wants to restrict this rahmah, which is sent for all of Alameen, and just keep it in their home? Or just keep it to themselves? We can't do that. That's not why he was sent. So we need to bear that point in mind. So I was watching this program, I don't know if anyone's seen Al Jazeera TV, or sometimes they do documentaries, and they did a program, it was called My Name is Muhammad. Yeah? Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And in there, there's a guy, a presenter called Raghi Omar, and he was talking about the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and how the people liked him because of his character. He's honest, he's trustworthy, he's sensible, he's mature, he's kind, he's all these kind of things. Now, I've got a problem with that, because when someone just says that about the Prophet ﷺ, they're restricting the Prophet ﷺ's risala, they're restricting his message. For example, we know the Prophet ﷺ, we already know that the Prophet ﷺ was already truthful. When he became a prophet and a Rasul, he didn't become more truthful, he was already truthful. We know the Prophet ﷺ was a very good businessman because of his akhlaq, because of his morals. When he became a prophet, he didn't get extra superpowers in akhlaq, he was already a very moral, upright person. When his neighbors used to leave the house, they used to ask him to keep an eye out for their belongings, for their house, for their things. My problem is, the Prophet ﷺ was already trustworthy, already kind, already moralistic, already a brilliant, beautiful neighbor. But when he got the messengership, when he got the job of being a prophet, those same people spat at him, strangled him, punched him, choked camels' intestines on him, insulted him, defaced his house. What was it about his character that changed? It wasn't the character that changed. He was still the most lovable person on planet Earth. It was the message that he brought. And it's amazing because those are the things, when we look around today, alhamdulillah, the signs of Muslims appreciating that fact grow day by day. Muslims all over the planet are starting to learn to love the Prophet ﷺ even more. There are now countless seerah things that you can attend, that you can learn, you can study. Just go onto YouTube, type in seerah, you'll get millions of videos. Have a look all over the world, people. I mean, just look in Derby when it's Milad al-Nabi celebrations. Yo, forget Christmas lights, those lights smash it. You can go all around Rosewood Street, Wilfred Street, like flashing, because it's just out of pure love. So that love and that wanting to live by his way of life, his sunnah, is coming back, and that's something which the people who don't want us to come back to that, that's something that they're trying to change by saying, no, the Prophet ﷺ wasn't a political leader, he wasn't taking over the world, they tried to take that dimension out, but actually that was the most important part. That was the thing that made him hated from being the most loved. And that's something that we need to bear in mind. So today, inshallah, bi'idhnillah, I want to go through some hadith, some stories, some lessons from his life that will make this world a better place. Not just me, I'll give some examples of how it will make us better, how it will make our communities better, how it will make wider society better, but how it can make the world a better place just by respecting and loving and following the greatest of Allah's creation. So that's what we want to go through today, inshallah. First thing, this is like usual, I'll go through his life and talk hashtag certain lessons, certain things that we need to take away. First thing, his mission, Prophet ﷺ's mission, it began with him by himself because he needed some time to reflect. And sometimes when it just gets too much, too many things on your mind, why is my mum barred me from having the phone again? They're stressed out. Yeah. When you get those points in time, you want to say, sometimes you just need time to just reflect. Where am I going in life? 2019, I gave a khutbah today in Leicester, and I was talking about New Year's resolutions. And actually, one of the top in the list of New Year's resolutions, one of the top 5, I believe the Shani will know this, but one of them is to not make New Year's resolutions anymore because they're so waste of time, because they only last a short period of time before they die out. So the Prophet ﷺ, he reflected, he thought, he contemplated, he looked around, what's life about? He wasn't involved in all the messed up things. And all of us have got things in our hearts, in our personalities, that are not good. Some of us are a bit greedy, some of us are a bit stingy, some of us are a bit lazy, some of us are a bit rude, some of us are a bit, we're masters of procrastination, we're the best at making excuses to stop good things. We've got lots of problems in our personalities. And the Prophet ﷺ has said so many things to make us all individually better people, undoubtedly. So for example, the Prophet ﷺ, Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrated, Ittaqullaha ta'ala wa husnul khulq. Fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and embody good manners. So many youngsters, actually elders as well, so many people today, they don't know the concept of manners. I've given this example before. I went to a wedding not long ago, this summer just gone, and you sit on a round table, and actually, you've got elders there, youngsters there. As soon as the food comes, the youngsters are like hyenas about to just have their only meal of their life. No calmness, no offering to the elders, no checking, not taking enough so that you got just 4 pieces of legs, 3 kebabs. And think, this is not the manners that the Muslim shows. Yeah? The Prophet ﷺ said, "Alaykum bis-sidq fa innahu ma'al birr wa huma fil jannah." It's upon you, alaykum bis-sidq, you should be truthful. So when people characterize you, if I was to describe what is Ahmed like, one of the characteristics of Shura, this guy's an honest guy. He doesn't lie. So one of the brothers, I mentioned this last month, but his son passed away. He was 15. So I went to see him, the father, and some of his friends were there again. So I said, describe what he was like, and the kind of things these 14, 15-year-olds were coming out with. They said the guy was always bang on with his salah. He would never miss it. The guy never used to lie. We never heard him swear once. Can you imagine that? 15 years old, never sworn once. That's amazing. How many people just swear like nothing now? And this is something, just by following that, our language will become better. How we speak, how we talk to one another. Lots of youngsters, they can't say a full sentence without a swear word. It's like disgusting. So we were sitting in a food place the other day, and the people behind, I was sitting with my children, and the people behind, they were youngsters, they were just in the everyday language, swearing. I thought, can't say it, you need to move. So we had to move. You can't even sit with your family in peace without not hearing some filth. So the Prophet ﷺ said, if you control your tongue, من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليقل خير أو ليصمت. Say something good or keep it short. If you haven't got nothing good to say, keep it quiet. It'll save you from sin. So this is another thing. If we follow that sunnah, it makes us as better people. The Prophet ﷺ also said, وَالْكَلِمَةُ طَيِّبَةٌ صَدَقَةٌ. Saying a nice word to somebody else is sadaqah. Nice jacket, bro. Looking good. How are you, Brain? Good. Very smart, very upright person. Very nice. Even saying something nice. People think a bit awkward. Oh my God, I hope he doesn't say something nice to me. It's going to be weird. But actually saying something nice to someone is a sadaqah. Imagine our wives took this advice and said something nice. Yeah, mashallah, very nice. Or the brother said, like for example, I've got a brother-in-law, he supports Man United, like really badly. He supports Man United. And yesterday's game was Manchester City versus Liverpool. He couldn't wait to say, Liverpool lost, all this. Like, he couldn't wait because he likes to gloat in it. I was like, but you don't even support any of the teams. Why are you so interested? And he goes, I just wanted to give you a kick while you were down. Like, get that in. Why? Because it's like a pastime to cuss the crap out of each other. That's the way people, like, that's the thing that's cool. Let's just cuss the person and belittle him and make fun of him or her, and it's seen as something cool. But actually that's messed up. That's not how Muslim. Imagine talking like that with your dad. You wouldn't do it, would it? So the Prophet ﷺ has got, and there's hundreds of these. The Prophet ﷺ said in another hadith, لَيْسَ مِنَّا مَنْ لَمْ يَرْحَمَ صَغِيرَنَا وَيَعْرِفُ حَقَّ كَبِيرَنَا. You are not from us if you do not see yarhama sagirana. If you are not having rahmah towards the youngsters, overlook some of their mistakes, help them, guide them. Don't go unleash on them in beast mode when they do something wrong. وَحَقَّ قَبِيرَنَا. That you respect the elders. Again, if someone followed these simple tips, and again, we can just pick up any book of hadith. There's hundreds of thousands of these narrations, and if any of us read any part of the Prophet ﷺ's life, it will benefit us without a shadow of a doubt. That's another amazing thing. My kids don't like my talks. My kids think I'm boring. Yeah. So, oh my God, you talk forever. Yeah. I don't give khutbah to my kids. I play with them. I chat to them, just on a level, because they know me. They know what I'm like at home. They know in my private time what I'm like, etc. But the more you indulge or go into the Prophet ﷺ's life, the more amazing things you see. The more you drill down into his life, the more you found, wow, how amazing is this creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whereas with us, that's not true at all. The more you dig about us, and you can tell from some of the grins in people's faces, some of them are good things, some of them are not good things. And this is something I advise everyone. There are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of sayings of the Prophet Muhammed sallallahu alaihi wasallam that will make us better people. However, that wasn't his mission. His mission was bigger. His mission wasn't to change individual people on their own. His mission was bigger. The Prophet's mission also covered the community. Your neighbours, your local mosque, your local school, your work colleagues, the people, the non-Muslims that live around you. The Prophet has again got hundreds of thousands of pieces of advice that will make us a better community. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually at the beginning of the Prophet's message, وَأَنْزِرْ أَشِيرَتَكَ الْأَقْرَبِينَ, warn those who are closest to you. The Prophet ﷺ taught us many examples of how community should work. He said, وَالَّذِي نَفْسِ بِيَدِهِ, لا يؤمن عبدي حتى يحب لجاره ما يحب لنفسه. None of you can be a true slave until you love لجاره, until you love for your neighbor what you love for yourselves. That shows you the Prophet's given guidance how we should be with our neighbors. The Prophet says, if you're making curry, and all of us make curry in our houses, it's a fact. The Prophet said, increase the water you put in so that you can give some out. It's like a simple thing, but it builds communities. The Prophet ﷺ was well known. If there is someone sick, someone ill, what did he advise us to go and do? Go and visit them, even if it's for 1 minute, even if it's to go and make a dua for them. If it's a janazah, what the Prophet ﷺ said to go and do? Go to the janazah. Even if you can give one handful of soil, just do that. Even if you can have one hold for like 1 second, just do that. Because it builds a community. The Prophet ﷺ said, give gifts to one another. Please, brothers, if you want to give me gifts, by all means, buy a Gucci bag, just give it to uncle. Absolutely fine, because it builds that love. Muhammad, if you want to let me know what you got from Kuwait for me, please. I'll come and what are you laughing for? I'll come and take it, because the Prophet ﷺ said, it's actually a hadith Qudsi. The Prophet ﷺ said, Inna Allah ta'ala yaqul, Yawm al-Qiyamah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say on the Day of Judgment, Ayna mutahabuna bi jalali. Where are those people who love one another for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So there's an issue that we should have love for our community, what's going on. So there's lots of things going on even in our community at the moment. I'm sure people have heard about relationship and sex education, all these kind of disgusting things that they're going to teach to 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds that you can't opt out of. Let's find out how we can help. How can Muslims get together to kind of make a voice against those kind of things? So this is something the Prophet ﷺ said, it's mandub to meet, to join in any act of goodness, by Muslim and non-Muslim, by the way. Something called Hilful Fudul. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, and this was like an organization with not Muslims, and they're cleaning their local park. They're taking off vile graffiti of a particular thing. There are a hadith where if you can get involved in that, fine. Because it can be a means of dawah. It can be a means of spreading the message. It is a means of bringing that sunnah to our lives. But the mission was much bigger. It was much bigger than just a community. Islam didn't come just for a little community. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He sent this mission, His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, with a mission for everyone. And I'm not going to describe it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes multiple ayat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Saf, هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. It is Allah who sent His messenger with the deen of truth ليظهره على الدين كله, to be more stronger, to be more apparent, to be more greater, even though ولو كره المشركون, even though the idolaters may hate it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Fath, هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله وكفى بالله شهيدا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, He sent this deen with the messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Why? To make it dominant, to make it spread, to make it ifhar, to make it stronger. Even though وكفى بالله شهيدا, and it is sufficient for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be witness to that fact. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah At-Tawbah, again, same wording, هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. Same again. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, actually in another one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, يا أيها النبي, O Prophet, إنا أرسلناك شاهدا ومبشرا ونذيرا. He sent you as a witness, as a bringer of good news, and a warner, ونذيرا. وَدَاعِيًا إِلَى اللَّهِ بِإِذْنِهِ وَسِرَاجٍ مُنِيرًا. And He sent you as a bringer, as a lamp, spreading your light everywhere. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the ayah of وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's mission was for the whole world. That's the legacy. That's what we are fortunate enough to inherit. That's the part we can all contribute to. That's the part we're all part of. That's the part that the Prophet ﷺ came and passed on the baton to us and said, carry it on. That's the thing that we've got in our hands that we need to pass on. The Prophet ﷺ, and just give you some examples. The Prophet ﷺ, and this is not just to prove the point. The Prophet ﷺ said to the Arabs and the non-Arabs at that time, give me one word that will make you rulers over everyone. قُولُوا لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ تُفْلِحُوا. Say La ilaha illallah, you'll be the leaders of mankind. He didn't come just for himself and his little community. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said this deen will reach where day and night have reached. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said Jibreel showed him the whole earth, and I saw that in its eastern parts and its western parts my ummah's authority has spread everywhere. The Prophet ﷺ, there will come a time where the Khalifa will distribute money in the lands of Africa without ever counting it. The Prophet ﷺ said, there will come some rulers, there will come some army generals that will take over Rome, that will take over Palestine, that will take over these lands. The Prophet ﷺ said, there will come a time where the red and the black, meaning the different races, they will actually all be under the authority of Islam. The Prophet ﷺ said every house, whether made of brick or mud or wood, will be taken over and Islam will enter it either with honor or with humiliation. The Prophet ﷺ, even the kuffar at the time, the Prophet ﷺ said, look, this guy, Muhammad ﷺ, will never be abandoned by his people. So Urwa bin Mas'ud, when he went, when he became a Sahaba, and he saw the kind of love that the Muslims had for the Prophet ﷺ, he went back to Quraysh and said, look, these guys are not going to give him up. He's here to stay. He's here to fulfill the mission. So for us guys in this room, that is what we take, the greatest messenger, and this is what I'm going to try to tie up each of the Anbiya, the ones that we've been through. Look at the struggle. Ibrahim alayhi salam challenged who? Who did he challenge?
His father. His whole village.
Father, village, but who's the leader? Begins with a Na. Nimrud. So it's Ibrahim alayhi salam versus Nimrud. Yeah? Nuh alayhi salam. Who did he challenge? Who did he take on? Say that again?
That is anything, isn't it?
Oh, what's who said?
You say Musa alayhi salam.
Nuh alayhi salam. Who did he take on?
It's his people, his children, his wife.
So, and they were led by Al-Mala. Al-Mala were the leadership of that society. So Ibrahim alayhi salam versus Nimrud. Nuh alayhi salam versus Al-Mala. Who did Musa alayhi salam take on? Fir'aun. Musa alayhi salam versus Fir'aun. Isa alayhi salam, who did he take on? Who tried to kill him?
The Jews.
Jews and
The Christians.
Romans. Romans. They are a branch, they didn't have to call Christianity, alright? But they were the Romans. So it's Isa alayhi salam. Look at the pattern. Ibrahim alayhi salam versus Nimrud. Nuh alayhi salam versus Al-Mala. Musa alayhi salam versus Fir'aun. Isa alayhi salam versus the Romans. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam against Quraysh in the world. This ummah against capitalism. This ummah against communism. This ummah against nationalism. This ummah against all the other ways of life. That's the thing. That's what we're part of. Imagine how many problems in this society would just be solved if they just followed the life of the greatest man ever. How many elderly people would not die of loneliness if they had just followed the Prophet's advice on one thing? How many people will not be, there's more than 5,000 people homeless right at this minute in Great Britain. How many people, those 5,000 would be solved if the state just, if this government just followed the advice of the Prophet ﷺ? How many wives who get battered post-Christmas because they've drank too much, ate too much, got no more money to last them for the whole of January, end up going crazy, batter their partners? How many would that be cured if the husbands just followed some guidance of the Prophet ﷺ? Islam and the Prophet ﷺ came as a rahmah, as a shifa for everything. That's why he is ash-shafi, he is the one who gives shifa for everything. And this world needs that message. Now, we can see We as individuals need him, we as communities need him, and the world needs him. And this brings me on to the next point. And this is the last section of the talk. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al Imran, وَمَا مُحَمَّدٌ إِلَّا رَسُولٌ. Again, look how when Allah mentions the name Muhammad in the Quran, He always connects it with Rasul, with the message. وَمَا مُحَمَّدٌ إِلَّا رَسُولٌ. Muhammad is nothing but a messenger. قَدْ خَلَتْ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ الرُّسُلُ. We sent messengers before him, many of them. أَفَإِن مَاتَ. If he was to die, أو قُتِلَ, or he was to be slain, killed, انقلبتم على أعقابكم. Are you going to turn your back on his struggle? Look what Allah's saying. He was a prophet, he was a Nabi, he was a Rasul. If he were to die or to get killed, are you going to turn your heels on him and say, I don't have to struggle anymore? We can't do that. And this brings me on to this part, which should supersede everything. And superseding everything is the fact that you should love him. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. When you love something, you talk about it a lot. Yesterday's football match was talked about more than most things on the planet. In terms of tweets, in terms of Facebook, it was talked about massively. And people love to talk about it. They like to talk about it, enjoy talking about it. Similarly with people who love their business, they love to talk about their business. People who love to talk about looking for wives, talk about looking for wives. People who love their gym and their food, or whatever, they love to talk about things. You talk about things that you love. Umar al-Khattab, famous hadith, he said, Ya Rasulullah, again, he didn't say my brethren, my mate. Ya Rasulullah, I love everything and everyone. I love you more than everything and everyone, except for myself. And the Prophet says, you will not taste halawatul iman. The halwa, the sweetness of iman, you will not taste it until you love me more than everything. And then Khattab goes, Ya Rasulullah, okay, I love you. And the Prophet goes, Al-an, now you've got it. This is something we've got to, and unless I'm not going to fake this, the love doesn't just happen. You have to learn about him. You have to see him. So I'll give you an example. One time the Prophet ﷺ was sat in a gathering like this. I might have given this story before, but an old man comes. And the best way to describe it, he comes with some hospital grapes. You know the grapes that have been there for a few days and no one eats? And they're not crunchy, they're squidgy, they've lost their taste, they're a bit bitter. And an old man comes, and he comes with the grapes. Ya Rasulullah, I brought you a gift. The Prophet said, he sat down, tafaddal. The Prophet said, ate one grape. Beautiful. Took next one, took next one, took next one. Finished all of them. Any more? The guy goes, no, you fit. Subhanallah, Ya Rasulullah, you ate all my grapes. Make dua for me. The Prophet goes, may Allah bless you for your generosity. Beautiful. Go. So the old man leaves. When it's just the originals left, the Sahaba said to the Prophet, Ya Rasulullah, we saw you do something today that you've never done before. Normally, sharing is caring, fam. You should have offered it to some others. We could have had some of the grapes. The Prophet ﷺ said, when I tasted the first grape, it was disgusting. And I knew if one of you guys taste it, you might say something like, what have you given to the Prophet? And I didn't want to break that old man's heart, so I ate all of them. Right? And this made them fall in love with the Prophet ﷺ more when you see things like that. What do you think? Yo, this is just unbelievable. That's the kind of, the Prophet ﷺ, he instilled, he had all the qualities. Like, okay, let's go through. For example, Ibrahim alayhi salam, and I'll show you how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala perfected all the great qualities in Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam from all the Anbiya. So for example, Ibrahim alayhi salam was known as being very courageous, stood up to his father, stood up to Nimrod, take on the whole society, smash up the idol with the axe and come. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, I will bring you slaughter, I will take you over, even if you give the sun and the moon in my right hand, I will never stop. He had ultimate bravery against everyone. He sent letters to the king of Persia, to the king of the, every single empire that was there. He said, come, I'm going to come. If you do not take my invitation, my horses will devour your land. The Prophet ﷺ was very brave. Yeah? Very brave. If you look at Nuh alayhi salam, his quality was patient, right? The Prophet ﷺ, in the years of the boycott, when there was no food and no, anything to go by for 3 years, that people were starving, and people used to tie rocks to their stomach because they were like, and the mothers were coming saying, my kids are dying. The Prophet lifts his top and says, look, I got 2 stones tied to my stomach. The Prophet ﷺ had more patience, even more in his quality against all the people that loved him than Nuh alayhi salam. If you look at Musa alayhi salam, his quality was that he was solid. He killed a man with one knockout punch. Yeah? Musa alayhi salam was known as being like a powerful prophet. Really strong. The Prophet ﷺ was well known, very famous example. Rukana, the undefeated heavyweight wrestler of that time. You should research this. Rukana. And check this out. The Prophet ﷺ is there just doing this thing. And Rukana says, "Oh Muhammad, ﷺ, I heard you've got this new message." And the Prophet goes, "Yeah, let me explain it to you." And he goes, no, let me explain it to you first. Let's go one-on-one first. If you can drop me, I'll listen. The Prophet goes, all right, takes his jubbah off. Takes his jubbah off, starts stretching, like proper desi stretches, like, okay, I'm ready, come. So he's having one-on-one with Rukana. The first one pins Rukana down straight away, and Rukana's like, no, I wasn't ready. Not fair, it's like when he dropped you one time, isn't it, yeah? Pins you, top you out. And you think, that was a fluke. He goes, come again. They fight again. And the Prophet out-wrestles him, out-muscles him, and pins him down again. This is freaky, because I've never been defeated in my life. No one in Quraysh, even Omar has not beaten me. Because Omar was known, radiallahu anhu, as being very strong. He goes, I want to go again. The Prophet for the 3rd time pins him to the floor and batters him. It's like, yo, this is beastie. I got battered by this guy. So he goes, how did you do this? And he goes, look, I'll tell you something better than wrestling. Watch this. And he indicates to the tree, this tree, come here. And the tree uproots, like Lord of the Rings, walks, plants itself next to the Prophet ﷺ, and he goes, if I tell the tree to come, it listens. Be quiet and listen to me now. And Rukana's like, yes, Ya Rasulullah, I'll listen to you. Because he saw it with his own eyes. So he had more patience than Nuh alayhi salam, more bravery than Ibrahim alayhi salam, stronger than Musa alayhi salam, compassion. Isa alayhi salam was known for his compassion, very soft, very gentle. There's one character in the history of Islam, the biggest joker in the history of Islam. His name was Nu'ayman. I'm not sure if he was a companion because his behavior doesn't befit a companion, but he might be a companion, I'm not sure. But Nu'ayman, he was known as the biggest prankster around. So there was one time, there was an elderly gentleman and he couldn't see properly, maybe a glaucoma or something, yeah? He couldn't see properly. He had like a little bit of vision, but he couldn't see properly. So he said to the aide, he goes, look, I need to do number 1. Can you take me by the hand and take me so I can do my business somewhere private? Nu'ayman says, yeah, come with me. I'll take you somewhere private. So Nu'ayman takes him. And he goes, am I here? He goes, yeah, just face this way and do your thing. So the guy sits down, pulls his trousers, sits down and starts doing it. And people are like, oh, old man, what are you doing? Pull your trousers up, man, you man. And then the old man's like, getting stick, where is that guy? He really got me dissed in front of everyone. So Nu'ayman was there laughing his head off. Later on in life, this old man said, if I ever find that man Nu'ayman, I'm going to batter him with my stick. Yeah? Later on, weeks go by. Nu'ayman comes and sees the old man again and goes, watch this. He goes, uncle, what happened to you the other day was really bad. Do you want me to take you to the person that told you to do the weed in that place? And this uncle goes, take me now. And he goes, come with me. So he takes him, and he takes him to Khalifatul Mu'mineen, Uthman radiallahu anhu. And Uthman radiallahu anhu is praying. And Nu'ayman said, look, it's this man. The old man gets a stick on top of Uthman radiallahu anhu's head, bashes him. And Uthman was like, yeah? Finishes his prayer, and he said, oh old man, and people go mental. Astaghfirullah, he's hit the Khalifatul Muslimin, Amir al-Mu'mineen, this guy, what is wrong with this? This guy's gone crazy. And Nu'ayman's there laughing his head off. They said, they grabbed Nu'ayman, you know, that few people grabbed him and brought him to Uthman. And Uthman, as soon as Uthman saw him, radiallahu anhu, he said, oh, it's you. He said, let him go. And the Sahaba were like, what? And he said, look, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to put up with his tricks, and he used to make the Prophet laugh. Who am I to stop him? Yeah? Because even the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's compassion, we know the famous example when a Bedouin comes into the Prophet's mosque, and what does he do? Goes to the corner, as Pashab, in the corner of the mosque. And the Sahaba were like, what are you doing, you mental man? And the Prophet goes, do not disturb him, at least let the man finish. Because if it's halfway through, you're going to be spraying it all over your place. Let him finish. Because, you know, then at least it's contained in one place and you can clear it up. But the Prophet ﷺ, he was known as, you know, the compassion. He had more compassion than Isa alayhi salam. So the Prophet ﷺ, he had all the qualities of all of the Anbiya molded into one perfect being. And this perfect being is the person that we love, the person that we follow, the person whose life we want to implement in our communities, in the world. This is who we're talking about, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And I'll finish with 2 hadith, and then if there's questions on any of the 5 prophets that we covered, we can go through them. Love. There's 3 levels. 3 levels to get before you really love someone. First of all, physical attraction. Yeah, you see someone, you like them, you think they're, you know, I'm talking about not just the man, woman, but generally, some guy might be cool, might be handsome, might be slick, might be whatever. There's a physical liking of something. You think, I like that person. But that's like a superficial level. Because after a while those looks go, and after a while that style goes, and etc. A higher level of love is when you know something about the person. Yeah? So like Uncle Zai, when I first met him, he was a tall, handsome guy. Things change. MashaAllah. But like now, I like Uncle Zai's personality. Very calm, very funny sometimes. Very helpful, very generous, mashallah, Allah bless him and raise him. But I've got like the physical level, and then there's about a personality. But then there's a 3rd level. And that 3rd level is when I know what this guy has sacrificed for me, I think I'm indebted to him. Because he may have paid my bills sometimes, he may have fed me sometimes, he may have picked up my kids for me sometimes, he may have given me some advice that I really needed. So now my love for him has gone from the physical to knowing about his personality to now appreciating the sacrifices the guy made for me. You see the pattern? The Prophet ﷺ is the most beautiful. Yeah? The Prophet's qualities and characteristics were the best, unparalleled, the pinnacle of human being. But when we realize what he sacrificed for us, then we have an incredible amount of love for his way, for his life, for his deen. And the time where we will need him the most is on the Day of Judgment. On the Day of Judgment, none of us will get to paradise based on our deeds. it will be by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and by the shifa of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And you know, shifa, actually in Arabic, it means means. Like for example, imagine I want to get a job. Like I want to become a driving instructor. I know Amar's my shifa, the guy's got connections. Yeah? Hey, what is it? He's got connections. He will be able to get me in. Imagine I've got trouble at, I don't know, with my employer. Bash is the legal man to go to. So he's got the connections. Yeah? Imagine so there's a connection. The Prophet ﷺ is that means, is that shifa. He's the connection. So on the Day of Judgment, we are going to be running like crazy. Like maniacs, we're going to be running around looking for that priceless deed. One more deed to add to our scales. And eventually we like headless chickens, and we come to Adam alayhi salam. And we say, Ya Adam, you are Allah, and you are the first prophet. Help us out a little bit today. And Adam alayhi salam says, you obviously haven't heard my story. Have you not heard the reason why you got sent to earth is because of me? Because I ate when I shouldn't have eaten. I ain't got anything to give to you today. Nafsi, nafsi, nafsi. Right. Then you go to Nuh alayhi salam. And Nuh, we say the same thing. Ya Nabi of Allah, 1,000 years you lived. Struggled. Please, just pass a week of your good deeds. Nuh alayhi salam says, have you not heard that I made dua for my family when they were doing shirk? And I'm going to get into trouble for that. Allah nearly punished me for that. Nafsi, nafsi, nafsi. I cannot help you, off you go. You go to the next prophet, Musa alayhi salam. Musa alayhi salam. Could you imagine, go to Musa and give me some of your deeds? Because look mate, I killed someone. I'm going to kill you if you're not careful. Nafsi, nafsi, nafsi. Off you go. I can't give anything to you. They actually say, nafsi, nafsi, myself. I've got to be bothered about myself. I ain't got time for this. Then you go to Isa alayhi salam, the most loving prophet, the compassionate one. Ya Isa, can we just have some of your good deeds? Just to get us through today. And Isa alayhi salam said, these people made me the son of God. They call me the son of God. Ma'adullah, astaghfirullah al-azim. I got to save myself. Nafsi, nafsi, nafsi. I haven't got time for you today. Until we come, and then it's like everyone just spots the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we go charging. And the first thing he says when we say, Ya Rasulullah, please help us out today because we need your help. If you don't help us today, we're done. And the Prophet sallallahu is the first prophet that says, Ummati, Ummati, Ummati. Ya Allah, save my ummah, save my ummah, save my ummah. So when we realize what the Prophet is going to sacrifice, the love for him should be on the next level to learn about his life. And I was amazed, even yesterday I was with some brothers, not yesterday, on Wednesday now, I was with some brothers and we were asking about how much they knew of the seerah. And it's amazing how even though we've grown up as Muslims, we're raised in Muslim households, we know very little in comparison to what's available out there. There's like millions of volumes of stuff that we know, like snippets of the Prophet's life. And this is something that we should take away from this. So to conclude, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he really looked forward to meeting his brothers. Yeah? One of my personal favorite hadith. The Prophet ﷺ, when he was going past the maqbara, he was going past the graveyard, he says, Nahnu la'ikun, we are due to follow you, we're on the way to you, people of the grave. And he said, but I wish I have a chance to meet my brothers before I go to my grave. So the Sahaba said, hello, we're here. Come here, then you, come down. We're with you all the time. He said, no. Bal antum ashab. You're my companions. I'm not talking about you guys. I'm talking about my brothers. And they said, oh, how will you recognize us on the Day of Judgment? How will you recognize these brothers? They will believe in me without ever meeting me. Their faces and hands and feet and hair will be shining from the wudu, from their signs. They called for my way when people abandoned my way. They're my brothers. And I cannot wait to meet them. So look, the Prophet ﷺ is eager to meet each and every one of us. The question we have to ask is, how eager are we to meet him? So with that, the 5 greatest, Ulil Azm min al-Rusul, the 5 greatest prophets, you can see Muhammed sallallahu alayhi, he is the greatest of all of them. And I hope the series that we've done in the last 5 months have been beneficial to learn more about the lives of these Anbiya and about their struggle. And that's what we are part of. That's what we've inherited, the struggle. Keeping that deen going. I'm not sure whether the food have come, but we've got time now. If anyone's got questions on any of the prophets, anything that you've forgotten, that you need clarification on, the Christmas story again, because I know the nativity is quite important over there. We can talk about any of those things. Any question or comments? If brothers want to share a nugget or share something, that's useful as well. That's important as well. Not just all about me. Amo, what do you have to say? You've got something always to say.
I've got a question.
There you go. I could tell.
What is true love? So you mentioned about the 3 points about love and the 3 stages of love. Is love what, the doing milad and ashq rasul, is that love? Or is love working in the forces of Prophet ﷺ to establish the state? What is love?
Well, it's broader than that, isn't it? Love in the language of the Arabs means to obey. If your dad tells you to do something and you say you love him but you don't do it, you love the thing that you're doing more than what he's saying. That's an example. Yeah? Love in the language of Arab is the will to obey. So the Prophet ﷺ should be obeyed, not just in, like I said, not just Islamic State. That's massive. That's something that we're going to establish and take over the world with. But along that journey, there are many things we need to sort out in our personalities. There are many things, we are way away from there. I mean, here, even in Derby, there are many things we can help. Many youngsters are going astray, many things that we've got issues. People don't even know what the Islamic State is, some people. Yeah? So, in terms of love, what is it? I mean, the way that Ibn al-Jawzi, he explains, the Prophet ﷺ's love for us is unquestionable. His love for us is unquestionable. He already loves us. Same with Allah's, yeah? The issue is, do we love back? And the way you show that love back is by obeying that, knowing that, wanting that, learning about that. Like I said, how many things in this world will be solved if we just applied some of what the Prophet said? Even without an Islamic state, yeah? We can give advice to our neighbours about Islam, about how a community should be, about cleanliness. You know what I'm saying? We can't, it's not the view on everything. Islamic State is the pinnacle because it's what establishes Islam everywhere. But love is much more than that. Love is praying how he prays. Understand? So yeah, the nasheeds and that are excellent if someone does it out of pure love. Beautiful. Just like someone who goes on jihad following the Prophet, brilliant. Just like someone who accounts a ruler following our Prophet, brilliant. Just like someone, the Prophet was once having a bath and one of the companions, they got some towels and they held the towels up so that he's like covered so he can get changed and dry himself. And once the Prophet had dried himself, this companion's soaking and he starts walking away and the Prophet goes, "Oh, where are you going?" And he goes, "I need to go find behind some trees to get changed." The Prophet goes, No. Friends, I do it for you, you do it for me, come here. And the Prophet was holding the towel up and covering up while he gets changed. And he goes, "Yeah, Rasulullah, I'm making you like my servant." He goes, "Astaghfirullah, what better person to serve than my brother?" Yeah? So there are many things, and the love for him will increase when we understand that and understand more about and how the Prophet's life can make our lives better. That's like a really important thing. Uncle Irfan.
Yeah, it's a shame really that, there's many things that we want in life. We want money, power, all the good things, yeah? And this society, it pushes, it says to you, right, you want money, you want power, you want fame, you want these things, these are your role models for each of these things. Be like the football player, be like the celebrity, and these type of things. And we fall for it hook, line, and sinker all the time, because they don't show you that these people are sometimes the most corrupt people on the earth. Yeah. And then when we look at the Prophet ﷺ, yeah, who should be our role model, what they say is that he is the most corrupt person, astaghfirullah. So what they try and do is take you away from him being the role model, yeah, so that you turn to these people who are the role model. But I think it's very important that, you know, we see these role models for who they are. They hold, like for example, these gangster rap singers and stuff.
YouTubers now.
Okay, well, yeah, all of these. But look
Make
at
money from YouTube.
Look at what they do. Yeah, look at all the stuff that they have to do, which is to ridicule people, to humiliate, to do just so that they can get the hits or get the fame like that. And then these are your role models. When the Prophet ﷺ, look how much he sacrificed for us, that he's so eager to see us and call us brothers. Yeah, on the day. That's amazing. Yeah, and even if you could narrate the example where the Prophet ﷺ even saved his dua for us, where everybody else was making dua, but he said, no, I'm saving my dua for my ummah.
That's right.
Isn't it? Yeah. When so there's so much thing, but yet, you know, I don't know what to say, man. It's just like
that's why we could spend a lifetime talking about the Prophet ﷺ, because his life touches everything about our life, our whole existence. And this is something which, if we understood it and we had him in the right esteem, in the right maqam that he should be, we'd want to talk about his life all the time.
Sure.
And I don't mean that in a fake way. I mean, like, you'd want to know, what did the Prophet ﷺ say about this? What did the Prophet ﷺ say when he wanted to get married? What was the Prophet ﷺ like as a mate? Yeah, there was many times the Prophet ﷺ was with his mates. He liked chilling out. So there was, one time the Prophet ﷺ was chilling out. He's with Abu Bakr, he's with Uthman radiallahu anhuma, and some of the young girls were singing. And the Prophet ﷺ was there, free to he's listening, and they were playing the duff and they were singing. And the Prophet ﷺ was having a nice time. Umar ibn Khattab comes into the room, everyone sits up, the Prophet ﷺ go out, the girls stop singing and they run out of the room, and the Prophet ﷺ goes, we were having a nice time. Even the shaitan was scared of you. You come in here, we were having a relaxed time, the girls, they've all gone, we just... And Umar Khattab goes, what? They are more scared of me than they of you? Wait till I catch them. Right? The Prophet ﷺ showed, isn't it, that how he used to be like, what he used to be. You know the example of Nu'ayman. It's narrated the Prophet ﷺ laughed for 1 year based on one of Nu'ayman's pranks. Yeah? For 1 year, for a whole year, he talked about the prank. Because there was some time he liked to be just entertained, relax. That's natural. People want that. People like that. The Prophet ﷺ is well known. If he felt really particularly hungry, there was one companion's house where you'd always get slap-up meal. Like, I know, for example, if I go to Salim's house, I'm getting bread. Maybe, if I'm lucky, margarine. Right? If I'm lucky. If I go to Uncle Zai's house, I'm not getting anything apart from something healthy, fruit and veg. You're not getting anything apart from that. But I know, if I go to some brothers' houses, like Brother Noor, Subhanallah, when he invites for iftar, you know, because he loves his food, you're going to get a pure Bengali selection. You're going to get some meat, you're going to get some chicken, a bit of fish, a bit of vegetables, a bit of fizzy, a bit of non-fizzy, a bit of everything. And obviously a date to start with. Got to be healthy. But the Prophet ﷺ, he used to, when he was hungry, he was like, he would say normally with Abu Bakr, because look, we've not had a good tasty meal for a while. You know how people say now, where shall we go to eat? The Prophet goes, where shall we go? The Prophet goes, no brainer, Abu Ayyub's house. Abu Ayyub al-Ansari. You need to go to his house. His wife is amazing. And they would go, and lo and behold, there's always one tag along. So the Prophet ﷺ, Abu Bakr are off. They didn't include Umar Khattab in the conversation. And Umar Khattab sees them and says, oh, hold on, where are you guys going? We're off to see Abu Ayyub. He's like, oh, let me come, please. The Prophet goes, come, let's go, let's all go. So the Prophet ﷺ, they go and they have a meal and they eat, and the Prophet ﷺ makes dua for his family. There are things, every part of our life has got some amazing gems from the Prophet ﷺ's life. Amazing. Yeah, the Prophet ﷺ was doing up his hair, neating up his beard, you know, oiling it or whatever. And his wife said, Ya Rasulullah, even you into this vanity? And the Prophet goes, yeah, I'm going to see my friend. I'm going to look like a Trump, am I? Of course I'm going to make myself look good. So the Prophet sorts out, you don't do that for me. Understand? This is his daily life. And if we delve into his life, we see how amazing it was. And we see, oh man, there's no one, nothing has ever been made or will ever be made on his level. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And again, you can talk, you can go on and on and on and on about the Prophet's life, and it touched everything, everything that we could ever face is in his life. So, like for example, we all see what's going on in China. Absolutely crazy. Muslims having their beards shaved off. Muslims going into detention camps. Forced to eat pork, forced to diss Allah. It's astaghfirullah, I mean, crazy. But the Prophet ﷺ has explained the solution for that. He didn't stay silent on that. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, isn't it? Inna al-imamu junnah. The imam, the leader, the khalifa, the ruler, the sultan. Inna al-imamu junnah is a shield behind which you fight and protect yourselves. We haven't got that, so we need to work for that. None of like I saw some news article the other day, Pakistani Prime Minister saying, "Oh, this is Chinese problem. It's not our problem. The Chinese are dealing with the terrorists. We can't get involved in this." Come on, man, grow up, hell. Grow up backward. You're the leader or the leaders of one of the largest, most powerful Muslim countries on planet Earth. The least you can do is say something. Say, these are our Muslim brothers and sisters. Don't treat them like this. And it's amazing, now there's a bit of a craze going on of watching these dramas, like Ertugrul, yeah? It's like, solid, like a lion. And then there's another one called Sultan Abdul Hamid about the Khalifa. I seriously recommend watching some of the scenes I've seen, so I'm brilliant. But he was a proper Khalifa, proper leader. When the kuffar, they wanted to do a play against the Prophet ﷺ in Paris, mocking the Prophet ﷺ. He said, I am the leader of Asham, I am the leader of North Africa, I am the leader of Asia, I am the leader of Hijaz. You put that play on, I will eat your kingdom. I will completely obliterate you. No one's saying that today. No one even does a tweet against them, apart from Muslims like me and you. We need to rally. How do we get the more powerful people to say these things? The Prophet ﷺ said we must speak out against this. We must speak out against this kind of oppression. As well as make dua, as well as read qunut, as well as give sadaqah. All of these things are the Prophet ﷺ sunnah, and he's shown us a way of how to deal with these situations. Any others? Questions or comments? Shani, you got something good to say something?
Nothing today. Nothing good question. Pop one out, but nothing at the moment.
Let me say something, yeah? It just reminded me actually when you were talking about how we know Rasulullah or how we know Allah. I was just thinking that there's none of us in here that are angels. We've all made mistakes in our lives, right? We're all burdened with something. And it's quite a good point that you made, we've got problems in our own personality.
That's right, yeah.
And I think there's this example I remember listening to on YouTube, and one of the brothers came from Palestine. I think he mentioned something similar. He said, 20 years from now, when we're a bit grey or if we're still alive, or when these guys are all older, we might look back and look at YouTube and look at what were the Muslims of Derby doing. Yeah, what were they actually doing for the Muslims, wherever they may be, whether it's Palestine, Syria, wherever, even here in Britain. And it reminded me of this narration of this Sahaba. I don't know the full details, so I don't want to go into it, it's too long. But the point of it was, he was drunk. Guy was a complete alcoholic. And Ali radiallahu anhu had tied him up, brought him to the home, tied him up, and they were getting ready to go to battle. And this guy promised the earth, he goes, please let me go, you know, because every time they bring in the tie him up and he's still drunk and everything. So anyway, they tied him up, left him, and then they went off to battle. And this guy, where he was left, he says, I promise, I swear I'll give up. Just let me go and join them in the battle, just this one time. And you know, he's begging this time. It's so serious that even the person who's looking after him becomes affected. And she says, okay, I'll let you go. She lets him go. He goes off. He's the most courageous, the most forthright, the most severe in battle in that episode. And everybody remarks that who's that guy on the horse who's, you know, courageous and moving forward. They've not seen anything like him. And you know, he comes back, gets himself tied up back up again. And then Ali returns and he says, you know, there's this guy who was so amazing in the battle and no one knows who he was. And obviously later he comes to the conclusion that it's this guy. And he says even that moment, this guy, despite being a drunk and despite being so messed up, none of us here are angels, right? But we can make something and leave a legacy. So in 20 years' time, whether we're alive or not, we'll have left something for people to look back and say, you know what, the Muslims of Derby, the Muslims who live in Normanton, they did something great, something, you know, profound.
Inshallah.
I think that's something we need to think about.
Look, this another thing is this. Okay, this is something which I came across a few days and I thought, wow, this is amazing. So I'll share it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, "Ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmah." It's an ayah which we would have heard before. Quran has been translated, call to the way of your Lord, with hikmah, with wisdom. وَالْمَوِّذَةِ الْحَسَنَةِ وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. Called, invite to the way of your Lord. But the word says, "Ud'u ila sabili rabbik." Call to the sabil, the path of your Lord, Rabbik. You know, when you invite someone, normally you invite them to a place, isn't it? Like, I'll come down to my place, or let's meet at so-and-so restaurant, or let's go to this conference, or let's go to this talk, let's come to this circle. When you invite someone, you invite them to a place, right? Like a destination or a program or something. But Allah says, "Ud'u ila sabili rabbik." Call to the way, the path of your Lord. And our whole deen, actually, has been described by Allah in Surah Al-Fatiha. What do we ask for? Ihdinas sirat al-mustaqim. Guide us onto the path. Allah doesn't expect us to reach the destination of perfection. Allah expects us to join the path. Get onto the path towards Allah. Get onto the sirat of mustaqim. Not Jannah. Allah knows we're going to commit mistakes. So like this year, why not this year, 2019, one of these revolutions, why not everyone in this room make 2019 the year we're going to become really good at understanding seerah and understanding what the Prophet's life is. Start with one series, any series. Start with one book, start with a really simple book. Just say 2019, I'm going to really focus on understanding seerah really well. I'm going to become an expert at it. So that by December, in 12 months' time, you look back and think, I watch YouTube videos on seerah, I listened to audios, I read seerah books, I looked at tafsir, I spoke to people, I went to circles, and the whole thing, I just want to become an absolute legend, done on seerah. Trust me, you will think, then next year do something else. Next year, become an expert on a surah of Quran. I'm going to become an expert on Surah Al-Kahf. I'm going to learn all the tafasir. I'm going to memorize the surah. I'm going to listen to lots of talks on it. I'm going to read books. I'm going to go to circles and talks about it. I'm going to read the translation and then become an expert at Surah Al-Kahf. Put yourself some milestones. When you do this, you start realizing all of the texts of Islam, they point towards participating in some sort of outward expression of some sort of struggle.